Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. Today in this video, I'm going to be talking about the negative aspects of owning chickens. Now, I've seen a huge increase in people wanting to get into chickens or have backyard hens for their family. And there is so many amazing benefits to having chickens and so many great things to be said about them. But it's also important to hear about the bad side of keeping chickens. And so this video will help you decide if they are the right fit for your family. So be sure to subscribe to my channel for more videos about chickens. Before we get started with today's video, I would like to thank the sponsor, Over Easy Chicken Coop. This company makes beautiful chicken coops. These coops are not only super cute, but also made with Amish craftsmanship, so they are extremely sturdy and keep your flock safe and protected. These coops are meant to last, keep your chickens warm in the winter, and have functioning windows that can be open for the summer as well as other ventilation. The coops are also large enough for you to step inside. Learn more about them by either clicking the link in the description to view their website or by watching my assembly video. There is a lot of good things to be said about chickens and the satisfaction that you get from going out in the morning and collecting your breakfast. But it's not all rainbows and butterflies. And I think those of us who really love chickens and keep them don't talk about the bad side because we're constantly gushing over how awesome they are because we really like chickens. So if you've started looking into keeping chickens and raising chickens, then you know how intelligent they are, how they can provide for your family with both eggs or meat, and that they're pretty simple birds to care for. But today we're going to go over some of the things that you might not know about chickens if you've never actually had them. If you plan on getting chicks, they need a lot of care at that age. Chickens are pretty self-sufficient animals, but when they hatch, they have to learn how and what to eat, they need to be kept warm, and this is when they're the most fragile and susceptible to disease. They usually need to be kept in the house or outside if it's very warm, and you will need a brooder. I have some more detailed videos about chicks, so I will leave those links in the description. Chicks are the most susceptible to disease, but older birds can get sick too. You will find medicated feed at the store, but this does not protect them against everything. It is only for one illness, coccidiosis. And I have a video all about how to decide if your chicks need it and how it works, so I will also leave that one in the description as well. Common health problems you will see in chickens besides coccidiosis is things like pasty butt, mites, Merrick's disease, and being egg-bound. Chicks sometimes get what's called pasty butt. They might have very wet poop that will get stuck to their vent and seal it shut, and they can die from this. Usually fixing this is as simple as cleaning their butt. Chickens are very commonly affected by mites. It's just so common, and it's something that's hard to control and something that you have to actually treat proactively because they can get mites under their feathers, in their skin, in the scales of their legs, and it's just something that's super common. I do not recommend using things like Sevin dust. These things do have to be treated for often, and when you use Sevin dust or products like that, it's actually recommended to not eat eggs from the birds or eggs from places where you've used Sevin dust, and that's something that you have to be really careful with no matter what it is. So anytime you're using medications to treat any health problem, you need to make sure that those medications are safe if you are consuming eggs or meat. And some of these medications, once you use it on the bird, you can't eat their eggs. It just makes the eggs unsafe to eat as well as the bird, actually. Merrick's disease is another very common chicken disease that happens all over the world. It's very common for the chickens to get it. It can sometimes wipe out an entire flock. Newcastle's disease was actually going around last year, and that did wipe out many chicken flocks around the country. Also industrial flocks where it was just hundreds of birds. So there's these diseases that go around sometimes that can kill an entire flock. And this isn't meant to scare you. These types of diseases are typically something that's going to be more problematic with larger flocks. Personally, I've never experienced any of these types of diseases and I've never had any of
I've never had my flock completely wiped out by a disease. So do keep in mind, if you have 5 or 6 chickens in your backyard, most likely you're not going to be dealing with these crazy types of disease. And the fewer chickens you have, the less health problems you are probably going to encounter. Another thing that can happen with laying hens is something called getting egg bound. And this means that the egg is actually physically stuck inside the hen and she cannot get it out. She can't lay the egg. And this doesn't happen very often, but it does happen, and this is something that usually can only be treated by a vet, and a lot of vets will not see chickens. Chickens can also get something called sour crop, and this is where the food builds up inside of their crop and it actually spoils and goes bad. And for whatever reason, this bird had an upset stomach, wasn't able to digest the food, and now has sour crop, and that is something that can also kill them and something that they need to be treated for. Sometimes this can be treated at home.
Like I said earlier, illness and disease aren't as common for people keeping 3 or 4 hens in the backyard. But what you will encounter for sure is how dirty and stinky chickens are. Chickens poop a lot, and they poop everywhere. They need a place to roost at night, and the bottom of that area will be covered in poop, because they poop all night long while they sleep. And then they're going to poop all day too, everywhere in your backyard. They will want to hang out on your lawn furniture, and they'll poop there too. And the poop will get into their water and, well, just everywhere. They will get feathers everywhere too. They're very messy. And poop stinks, it attracts flies and bugs, and their food will also attract other vermin like rats and mice. Them being there will attract foxes and skunks and possums and raccoons. So there's just a lot to think about when you consider the mess that chickens will cause in your yard. I have a special pair of boots that is just for going outside with the animals. And I've found that it's very common, even for people that aren't on a farm, but just have chickens, to have that special pair of boots.
Another thing to think about is how much chickens eat. Now, there's this idea that raising chickens to have your own eggs is somehow going to save you money. And right now, in the middle of a coronavirus outbreak and being in quarantine and eggs not being available like they have been, then yes, that's currently true right now. But typically, no, it's actually not true. In fact, I think you spend more money raising your own eggs and stuff if you don't care about the, quality of the egg. And so the reason you want to have your own backyard chickens is because you care about how the chickens are treated and you care about what the chickens are eating and things like that. Not really to save money. You probably save money if you are buying organic eggs, cage-free, free-range organic eggs, then you might be saving some money. But if you're just thinking about standard eggs, then no, this doesn't really save money. Chickens eat a lot of food, especially if they're living in a coop 24/7. I don't feed my chickens very much because they are free range on a farm and they're being able to get lots of food while they're out. But if you have a smaller yard or you're keeping your chickens in a coop, they're going to go through a lot of food, and they have different needs too. That's another mistake that people make, is just feeding them corn or scratch grains, and that isn't a complete meal for them. It can only be provided if you're free ranging them. Otherwise, you need to also include layer pellets and vegetables and things like that to add to their diet, and also bugs too. There are a lot of companies now that provide bugs for chickens, such as soldier fly larvae and mealworms and superworms and things like that. And when chickens are not provided with all of the food and nutrients that they need, this actually does cause health problems, and this can result in problems with egg production, the way the eggs look, what goes into them, all of that. And also, as they grow, the chickens are going to start developing problems. So I have a cochint that actually walks around with a limp. She was dumped at my farm, and whoever had her before I didn't provide a correct diet. And because of that, her bones are very brittle. And so she has a really bad limp. And chickens will get into everything that they can and eat everything that they can. So this does include your vegetable gardens and your flower beds.
You will also need to consider space. Each chicken should have about 10 square feet of space. So those chicken coops from Walmart or Tractor Supply, those are coops to keep them safe at night. They are not meant for your chickens to live in during the day. If chickens can't free range, they need a large coop to be in. And there are problems that come up with keeping chickens in a coop. They are intelligent animals and they get bored. Sometimes this results in them pecking each other or even killing each other. And being in small spaces can cause problems for their feet and increase health issues.
Even though you can and do encounter all of these problems, chickens are actually the fastest growing part of the pet industry. So it's worth it for a lot of us. And I think it's something you just don't quite understand until you've actually owned chickens. They're really neat pets. It's a satisfying thing to have. I think one of the biggest things to understand is how many birds you need. And this is something that's going to help you not become completely overwhelmed. 3 or 4 chickens is usually enough for one family. And so if you go out and you get 20 chickens and you're barely starting out, this can be really overwhelming. You're gonna encounter more health problems, and it's just gonna be a little bit more difficult to cope with all of the new things that you're suddenly dealing with when you get chickens. Thank you guys so much for watching this video. I hope you enjoyed it. Be sure to leave a comment down below, like the video, and you can follow me over on Instagram. And I'll see you guys next time. Bye.